Welcome back to Zak Wealth Files. I'm Zak, and today we're tackling something that is quietly costing a lot of you a massive amount of money. We are pulling back the curtain on the hidden mechanics of promotions with this deep dive explainer. Now, let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. This is not going to be some soft motivational chat about just believing in yourself and working hard. We are looking at the hard structural mechanics and the actual financial math behind who gets promoted today. Because here's the reality. Understanding exactly how your career trajectory is decided is hands down one of the most powerful wealth-building tools you can ever possess.
To really understand this, let's look at a scenario that happens basically every day in corporate America. It's the classic tale of two engineers. On the left, you've got Engineer A. They put their head down for 7 months, quietly architecting this massive system migration. And boom, they save their entire department 11 hours a week. It's incredible, highly valuable work, but the promotion committee never even hears their name. Now, look over on the right, you have Engineer B. They write up a strategy document for a much smaller project, but they present it at a department-wide meeting and lead a highly visible working group. Their actual technical output? Measurably lower. But when review cycle comes around, who do you think wins?
Yup, Engineer B gets the promotion. And here's the part where most people completely misunderstand the game. This outcome isn't necessarily about toxic office politics or petty favoritism. It's actually a documented information problem. Once you realize that promotion decisions are bottlenecked by how information travels in a company, you can stop being disadvantaged by it and start strategically playing the system to your benefit.
And we need to fix this because the financial stakes here are absolutely massive. Take a look at these 2026 compensation figures. The average standard merit raise right now is sitting at about 3.2%. Honestly, that's just inflation maintenance. You're barely treading water. But a promotion, that averages a 22.3% bump. You are looking at roughly 7 times the standard raise in one single event. Think about compound interest like a snowball rolling downhill. Every future raise, every single bonus, and your employer retirement match, they're all calculated as a percentage of this new, much higher base salary.
That compounding effect is exactly why we're treating this as a serious wealth-building topic. A 2025 peer-reviewed study published in JAMA Network Open looked at this and found something staggering. Missing out on a promotion, or honestly, even just delaying one, costs you between $1 million and $3 million in lifetime earnings. So missing a promotion isn't just a bruised ego. It is quite literally a life-altering loss of future capital.
And the pressure is on right now. The 2026 promotion landscape is brutal. Employers are only projecting to promote about 9% of their workforce this year. To put that in perspective, 73% of employees recently received absolutely zero raise or promotion. Zero. And the average promotion rate across companies is a super tight 4%. So the pie is shrinking. The competition is fierce. Understanding how this game is played is no longer optional. It's a mandatory financial strategy.
Which brings us to the million-dollar question. If the pie is shrinking, and just putting your head down and doing good work isn't enough anymore, what actually moves a promotion decision? Let's look at what the latest data tells us.
This recent 2026 Forbes quote hits the nail right on the head. Visibility is the new currency. The era where quiet competence was reliably rewarded has passed. In a recent global workplace study, 34% of respondents pointed to visibility to senior leadership as the single most rewarded factor in advancing. It straight up overrides pure output. Doing the work and being recognized for doing the work are totally different things now.
Now you might be saying, well, my boss knows how hard I work. They'll advocate for me. I really want you to look at this Gallup data before you bet your financial future on that. Only 20% of managers globally are actively engaged at work. That means 80% are disengaged. They're likely just stressed out and trying to survive their own heavy workloads. Waiting around for a busy, disengaged manager to spontaneously build a persuasive case about your quiet excellence, statistically, that is a losing bet.
Because here is the structural reality at most mid to large companies. We call it the promotion committee bottleneck. Your direct manager doesn't actually decide your fate alone. They have to build a packet, walk into a room, and pitch you to a committee of distant senior leaders who probably don't interact with you at all. And that room is exactly where the information breaks down.
Brace yourself for this statistic. 85%. Studies show that 85% of the people sitting on these promotion committees receive absolutely zero training on how to fairly evaluate evidence or identify their own biases. Think about how crazy that is. These are the people deciding your long-term wealth trajectory, and the vast majority are flying completely blind.
And human nature dictates that in the absence of solid evidence, a committee is going to rely on whatever narrative is the most memorable.
Since they don't see your daily grind, your output is essentially invisible unless a clear, packaged story makes its way into that room. If your manager just says, hey, they do really solid work, that means nothing. You need a narrative.
So, how do you get your story into that room? Sponsorship. Check out this McKinsey data. If you have an active sponsor, your promotion rate over a 2-year period skyrockets to 65%. If you don't, it sits at just 35%. Having a sponsor almost doubles your chances. It is the ultimate career multiplier.
Let's make sure we're on the same page with definitions here, because people get this mixed up all the time. A mentor is someone who buys you coffee and gives you advice. A sponsor is a senior leader who actively spends their own political capital to fight for you in rooms where you aren't present. They put their reputation on the line for yours. Mentors are great, but sponsors are the ones who actually help you build wealth.
Now, let's pivot to a massive headwind that is specifically impacting the 2026 landscape. We have to talk about the proximity bias problem, otherwise known as the remote work penalty. If you are working from home even just a couple of days a week, listen up, because this directly impacts your earning potential. The data here is pretty brutal. Even with identical performance ratings and the exact same output, fully remote workers are 31% less likely to be promoted, and hybrid workers actually face a 33% penalty. Mathematically, simply lacking physical visibility drastically tanks your chances of moving up. It's a massive structural disadvantage that nobody formally writes down on your review.
And if we look at how managers view this, it makes perfect sense. 67% of managers admit they view remote workers as more replaceable. Even worse, 42% say they straight up forget about their remote employees when it's time to hand out high-visibility stretch projects. Now, to be fair, researchers do debate the exact methodology of proximity bias, but basic behavioral psychology always confirms one thing: out of sight is out of mind. Decision makers favor the people who are physically in front of them.
All of this creates what we call the visibility trap. You see this with top performers all the time. They put their heads down, avoid the spotlight, and quietly fix problems so everything runs perfectly. But when everything runs perfectly, your main contribution is just the absence of problems. There's no dramatic before and after story for a committee to latch onto. By being quietly excellent, you accidentally make yourself invisible.
Okay, enough talking about the problem. Let's get to the practical strategy. We are not going to treat this as some toxic office politics game. We are going to treat this as a systematic framework to build verifiable career capital. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make sure your work gets the financial recognition it deserves.
Here is our 6-step visibility framework. Take a look at this roadmap, from making your work legible to compensating for that remote work penalty. We are going to break down exactly what you need to do step by step, starting this Monday.
Step 1. Make your work legible. Remember that Forbes quote we looked at earlier? They said, "Give leaders useful information, not self-praise." This isn't about bragging, it's about creating an audit trail. After you finish a big project, write up a crisp half-page summary detailing the scope, your exact contribution, and the measurable business impact. You are simply handing your manager the ammunition they need to fight for you in that committee room.
Steps 2 and 3 are about targeting criteria and building that critical sponsorship. Do not wait for review season. Ask your manager for specific, written promotion metrics 3 to 6 months before the cycle even starts. Then, find 2 or 3 senior leaders whose work crosses paths with yours. Keep them casually updated when you deliver something big. You want them to have real, credible context about your values so when your name comes up behind closed doors, they can vouch for you.
Steps 4, 5, and 6 bring it all together through strategic presence. You need to actively hunt for cross-functional projects that executives naturally pay attention to. And if you're a hybrid worker, do not spend your in-office days hiding at a desk doing deep work. Use those days specifically for high-leverage meetings to directly counter that proximity bias. Think of this whole framework like dollar-cost averaging in the stock market. You are making small, consistent deposits of visible evidence that will compound into massive wealth over your career.
To be completely upfront with you all, here's a quick reality check. The 2026 data we've covered today reflects broad general trends. This explainer is for general education. It's not personalized financial or career advice. Every company culture is a little different, and some places really do promote solely on strict output metrics. So always navigate your own situation by talking to a trusted internal mentor who actually understands the unique mechanics of your specific company. Ultimately, learning how to leverage the math of visibility is one of the highest ROI investments you will ever make. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Have you ever watched someone with a much smaller contribution get all the praise simply because leadership could actually see what they were doing? Reflect on that and start making sure your own hard work is undeniable. If this explainer brought you some clarity today, hit that subscribe button to join Zak's Wealth Files for more practical, no-nonsense wealth building strategies. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you in the next one.